Hey guys, so George Patton here, social worker from the neighborhood, prognosticator, seer of seers. I feel like this one's a little more somber, kind of post. I just want to say I'm seeing stuff go on in the forum from a lot of people. Again, not censoring anything or anyone. I just need everyone to understand. Every one of us needs to put ourselves in other people's shoes for a minute and just take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. Guess one more. And calm yourselves. Like, get this. We can disagree with each other with respect. And I feel like we've kind of forgotten that. I don't have to like what you're saying, but we need to try and manage our tone a bit. And if you have questions, by all means, ask them. I'm more than willing to always explain myself. And I want everyone, anyone that is on my page to understand that we share this page, we share this forum, and we need to acknowledge that the hurts of the past aren't going anywhere. So everybody's got their injuries from different people, from different parties, from different political candidates. All of us have our reasons for being out here doing what we do, and all of us have different candidates that we want to vote for. But in the grand scheme of things, we all still have to see each other at the grocery store. So let's try and do this with a little bit more nicety, I guess, to each other, like the individual voters. Because, we're all being, in one way or another, utilized by the powers that be to get their message out. That might be people who support Mary Springowski, people who support Demakia, Democrats, Republicans, supporters of Bradley, supporters of whoever. And in the end, it's the citizenry, those of us that are out here having these debates, that are discussing these things, that end up in the hard debates. And it'll really crack me up is these people sit on councils together and hang out together and have dinners together. We're all out there fighting their fights in these forums and whatnot. So again, I see some stuff happening, and I always try to respond to all of you politely. I always try. If it gets aggressive, I just back out. And I try not to be aggressive in the way that I respond to you guys, or in the way that I answer any of your questions, or any of that. Because for me, none of this is personal. None of this is really personal because I don't have a stake here. Yes, I bought a home here, but I haven't lived here long enough to know really any of you. I don't know any of the history that Garen Petty's had, other than what I'm being told by everyone and himself. I don't know the history that Mary Springowski's had. I don't know the history that Jack Bradley's had. I don't know any of your histories unless you share them. Which, again, that's what this forum's for, too, is for sharing of the past and the histories. But when you judge someone based on their previous actions and you don't give them any room to change, and this goes on both sides. This is why I post positive videos, too, saying, look, you did good. I'm going to reward that because that encourages that positive change. So just know, guys, every time that you engage with someone who curses at you, yells at you, or comes at you in a sideways manner, and you return fire on them in that same mode, in that same methodology, you will get exactly from them what you're giving them in return. So it'll be an endless cycle, a negative feedback loop, as you will, of just you doing the same thing over and over and over again, getting the same negative results, and nobody ever winning, just being the same fight, the same argument. Diversity, inclusion, all these things matter. You guys got to come together in this forum, have these conversations in a safe and effective manner where we can get our points across. And if you don't agree with me or anyone, or I don't agree with you, that's okay too. It's okay to not agree. What it's not okay to do is be mean and hurtful and hateful and nasty to each other. And I'm going to speak my piece on this because I've heard it back and forth from everyone. I don't believe Garen Petty is stalking anyone. The guy is not doing anything that he is not allowed to do under the law when it comes to these things. I think that there's been a narrative that's been sold, and that narrative has not ever been proven. So when you continue to yak and yak about it, all you're doing is spreading gossip and rumor. So if there is no facts to the matter, if you can't present documentation, if you can't show anything other than blah, 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 then stop talking about it. Focus on the Garen Petty that is in the council meetings and what he's doing today and the advocacy that he's making and the headway that he's making and the informative information he's giving out to you. Maybe stop looking at him as an enemy and start to read what he writes. Just like me, listen to what he's putting out there. Maybe ignore any tone that you may perceive. Hear it with open ears and open heart and an open mind. And then I challenge Garen, I challenge you to do the same. Hear that from others with open eyes, open heart, open mind. And we are not ever going to all agree, that is for sure. But what we can do is come together in a combined type of format where we're getting our ideas together. And maybe we can find compromises in these situations, these decisions, where, maybe the people can get their streets fixed. And we can still have money for other stuff. Maybe we can all come up with good ideas on how to do this instead of just beating each other up. So I beg of all of you, I'm going to keep doing what I do. And nothing I ever say is meant to attack any one of you individually. I will always defend my point to the end. So if you come in my forum and you're looking for some sort of easy out with me, even if you're my friend, if I don't like what you're doing, I will nail you to the wall for it because I expect you to do the same to me. When I'm wrong, I'm going to say I'm sorry every time. In fact, I hope to be wrong as often as I'm right so that I can constantly be in a state of education and learning. So if you do find yourself wrong on this forum, acknowledge it. And those of you that find yourself in the right, don't lord it over people. If people start to come to your point, say you've been making a point. Say, let's use, for example, Garen. If you've been using, this forum, or if you've been trying to get people to listen for 4 years, and suddenly they're starting to listen and they're starting to hear your words a little bit, you can't lord it over them. On that, and say, ha, 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 I told you I was always right. Look, these people are doing crap. On the flip side, you guys cannot come at him and be like, you've always been like this, and I knew you were going to do this, and da-da-da-da-da. This is the cycle of anxiety and meanness that seems to be being passed back and forth. And it feels like it is fired, stoked, and flamed from our government. You have no further to look than the city council. Look at how they treat each other. Even if I don't support Mary Springowski, I hate the way that council speaks to her. Hate it. Hate it. You speak to her so poorly. And a lot of you men up there speak to the women all poorly. And that's not okay either. I'm a supporter of women's rights, and I believe all the women up there deserve just equal treatment. And you don't speak to the other men like that, so you shouldn't speak to the women like that. I don't like that disrespect. Joelle, I don't like that you interrupted public comment in order to give your own little stunt speech that had no place in that meeting, unless it was documented and minuted out for you to have that time to make that speech. You broke council rules and protocols when you did that and when you addressed the public. I don't like that. Maybe we learned from you. Maybe Chief McCann, when you write nasty emails to people and you say nasty things to people and you come in there and you tap your pistol with your fingers and Joelle points you out as if you're a giant security guard back there when you have no authority to do that. Maybe that's what creates these situations. Maybe we the people are only giving back what we're shown by our officials. Maybe if law enforcement went around and was ultimately polite and nice and always said, make it a wonderful day after every encounter. And as I said to someone I consider, I don't know what I consider him, but I was talking to Jack the other day and at Hall, and I said, if I were law enforcement, I would put that uniform on every day like I did my military uniform. Press that sucker. I don't know if they allow that anymore, but I'd press it. Get it starched. Get it just razor sharp, right? Cut your finger on those starch lines. Polish up that badge so nice and pretty every day. Get that Sam Brown belt. I know they don't use Kiwi anymore, but I would probably even Sam Brown belt. That Sam Brown belt. Get that Kiwi going. Get that sucker shining. Get my handcuffs shining. Every day, work on my weapon, my issued weapon, like keep it clean, keep it serviced. Shine that badge up and serve the law with honor and respect. And go to work every day knowing what I'm making and just be disgustingly nice and happy. Someone's cussing at me, fuck you, da, 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 whatever, excuse my French. But, you know, like they do to police, because that's what police say. Like, people talk to the cops horribly, and they have to deal with that. So you get a thick skin, right? You go, okay, whatever, that's fine. Yeah, F me, fine. But you're still going to jail. You make it a wonderful day, sir. Put them in. Are those cuffs too tight? Let me loosen them for you. Let me press the double locks for you. Because that way, when you go to court and you win and they go to jail, that's your goal. Your goal isn't to get your licks in when you got them on the ground. Your goal is to get them to the final destination and to rehabilitation into a better life, hopefully. So again, if you lead us by example, and again, law enforcement, I would do that. Like, I would just say, go out there and just be nice as pie. Like, people hate nice. Look at me. Look at my post. Everyone despises me because I'm always nice. So again, take a page out of George Patton's book, Law and Law Enforcement. Be ultimately nice to everyone you encounter. I've met a lot of officers in Elyria, Lorraine, Sheffield, that are all super nice. It is the rare occasions that you see these ones on these videos. But these are the ones that we're speaking to. So again, I would say to everyone out there, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. If you're a good cop and you do the right thing all the time and you keep doing the right thing, I promise you, the people around you see that. If you're a bad cop and you do the wrong thing, I also promise you people see that. Same thing with our government. Same thing with you individual citizens. We all see what we do. We all know what we do. We all watch ourselves as much as we watch each other. And, you know, you're judged by your actions and your character. So let's all start treating each other with some respect. Let's understand that all of us are coming from a place of trauma. All of us are coming from our own hurt, our own injuries, our own way of dealing with things. I have PTSD. That's not their fault at City Hall, but I've tried to explain it to them, and every time they've interacted with me, they've done a piss poor job of doing so and respecting my disability as a veteran. And they've never once reached out to me to even discuss how to make it easier for me, or how I could help them in improving their ADA compliance, or making people feel more safe, or making veterans who have PTSD coming in there feel safe. How I believe they need more security cameras in order for me to feel safe and protect me, because people are fallible. They have every ability to make mistakes where video does not. If you had more video cameras in there, we'd be safer. Instead of spending all that money on having law enforcement in there, buy more cameras to make us feel safer. You have a police department right next door. And even for the record, with McCann in the back like that, standing there with his weapon, even on his hip, what are the chances he's going to protect one of you council members before something happens in that ungodly, unthinkable, unaccessible situation that somebody got through the metal detectors, got through the security, and brought something in with some sort of intent to cause harm to anyone? Because I don't think that would... I'm not going to say it would never happen, because we've seen it happen, but I just feel it's unlikely at a local city level for that to be going on. Nobody dislikes you people in city council enough for that. Like, you know, at least 2,000-3,000 people love you guys because they vote for you every year. You know, like, I just don't see that happening. So again, I just don't see the need for that. But all that being said, the whole point of this was understand where everyone else is coming from. Understand Garen's hurt. Understand anyone else is hurt. Jane, Paula, like all of you people that are on my page, every last one of you carries with you your own hurt, your own burden, your own invisible weight, if you will, that ties you to the people that are in your life. And maybe Mary's done something amazing for each and every one of you women. And maybe she inspires you because she's a woman in government, and she should for that fact. But also she has to understand that her inspiration carries with it responsibility. When she videos people, when she acts that way, when she holds her camera up, when she's escorted and surrounded by men, by a police officer, by her father, by other men, there's no way in that moment that Garen's causing her any pain or harm. And when she reacts that way, and she's supposed to be our government, she does a disservice for our government and for herself and for her family and for all of us in Lorraine. So I would ask that the people around her that claim to know her best reel that crap in too. Because again, I'm doing my best on my end with anyone that I know to try and create a softer, more appropriate engagement. But again, I'm not going to be spoken down to by my city council. You folks are my government representatives, and if you think you're going to ever speak bad to me, you can kick rocks. And for the record, foul language is constitutionally protected speech. Fighting words are not. You cannot use cuss words as a reason to, cause someone for disturbing something, because we're allowed to say those words at our meetings and address our public officials. You keep making up more and more rules that make no sense for us, we the people. We don't want your rules. We don't want more rules. We want you to do the right thing. We want you to protect us and protect council. Yes, everyone deserves to be safe and protected, but no one deserves to be spoken down to. No one. Not anyone on my page, not anyone who comes in and disagrees with me, not anyone who agrees with me, not Mary Springalski, not anyone. No one deserves to be spoken down to, especially on video, especially in council, especially in those scenarios. And I get it, some of you kind of winged at me for making the PT joke to McCain. That's a military joke, and I don't care if anyone else gets it. If he doesn't get it, especially when I'm saying that I myself cannot pass a PT test, then he would not understand that that's an Army guy ribbing a Coast Guard guy more than anything. But that being said, just be nice to each other, people. Like, all of my advocacy started over Lorraine Police being kind of jerky to me, over them not speaking to me in the way I wanted to be spoken to. And this goes for all of you. We all expect people to speak to us a certain way, but then we give nothing back in return for respect. So I, for one, always give respect. I mean it when I say make it a wonderful day. I mean it when I tell people that I'm not willing to engage with them in non-meaningful conversations that lead nowhere, because I don't have that kind of time. And if you're not willing to treat each other with respect and treat me with respect in these engagements, then at some point I'm just going to stop disengaging with you. I mean, granted, if you're throwing out some great points, like you're like, oh my God, like blah, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, I totally agree with that. And at the end you're like, but I totally think you're a total a-hole and I'd rather squat on your grave than like see you breathe. I'm still going to agree, like, I want to hear that. That I'm okay with. But if it's just I want to squat in your grave, I know that. I don't need you to reinforce that. So again, just be nice, be kind to each other, and I say this to everyone. I defend Garen a lot, and I will tell Garen too, as I've said to everyone. I'll call you out too if I feel you're being a little mean to someone or you're saying something I feel is inappropriate. I do that as well. But I'm still not going to censor you guys. That's what free speech is. That if he wants to be a jerk, he can be a jerk. If I want to be a jerk, I can be a jerk. Y'all can be jerks. The government can't. They're the only people regulated by their rules that make them be nice. But I don't believe there's any conspiracy theories going on. I think there's more than enough evidence to point to a lot of different things going on. Like, I know Mary's party's out there digging for dirt against Jack Bradley, and I know this because I hear the questions. It's universal. I know that Jack's out there, pulling back from this possible recall. I know you got Damaki out there hiding because of his OVI, and then you got people running around with signs blocking license plates. But no one will do anything to that, but, we'll get busted for something dumb at our house. Again, that's what the people are really tired of, folks. What the people are really tired of is the back and forth substandard government where you guys say one thing and do another. Hold us accountable to sign rules that you don't hold each other accountable to. And as long as they're members of the Democratic Party, then fine, so be it, right? So again, God, this one, as usual, for a lot longer than I wanted. But I was dinking around all day doing some yard work, and I came back to seeing what arguably looks like some negative stuff. And I see and hear you, Garen. Like, I see and hear the frustration that you're going through. We've talked about this, and everyone needs to understand the frustration all of us are going through. For anyone that would come in my page and say, I have no reason to be upset with James McCann or intimidated by him, none of you have had a law enforcement chief of police use his power, his color of law power, to send text messages to somebody that controlled your contract. Send all of your information, including everything about every complaint you ever made from screens, to these people. And then these people slandered your good name, he attacked your license and attacked your job. And you have PTSD, and you're a veteran, and you served your country, and the VA paid for you to go back to school, and the VA paid for your licensure, and the VA paid for you to test, and in your first 2 years of doing the right thing and doing what you were told to do by the court, you had a man that has dedicated his life to law enforcement and military career shit on you so bad that you just wanted to curl up in a ball and die? And you guys just are okay with that? if that's the case, then yeah, maybe you need to reevaluate yourself. Because if you can support a man that would do that, I personally think that your character is lacking. The difference between him and I is that I admit to what I do, and when they said stop, I didn't. When they told me that it could cost me my job, I didn't. So for those of you in law enforcement, for those of you in the city council that say we see what they're doing, but we don't have the power to stop them, and you don't stand up and do something, you're a coward. That's it. They came to me and they said, Aaron, if you keep this up, they can't really legally come after you, but they can choose not to work with you. And I said, well, that's their choice. But this is the law, right? Well, yes, that's the law. That's what I said to my supervisor. Is this the law? Yes, it's the law. God help whoever you turn your brain against. So I kept doing it because it was the law, and our ethical code mandates that I do it. And then James came after me, went after my job. And then when he saw that wasn't working, he waited a few weeks, and then he went after my license. So again, yes, I have a reason to be upset, but it's still not personal for me. What it is that if he did this to me under color of law, what will he do to actual criminals and people that, whatnot, that are out there doing stuff? And if he gets caught, then they get off, then we lose the possibility of a conviction because he can't follow his own rules when dealing with lawful citizens. So just like that lady said at this training the other day I was at, be lawful, not awful, bro. Just be lawful and not awful. You went to training classes on how not to be a homophobe, but you still don't know how to talk to people. You need an email class. I'd be more than happy to give it to you. But I mean, again, the things that you've been doing, there has to be an accounting for. And again, in city council, I'm going to keep calling this stuff out. You're not going to speak to us this way. But more importantly, you're not going to speak to each other that way. I swear to God, again, kind of harped on Mary a little bit throughout this one. I'm going to say it again. If I hear you guys speaking to her one more time the way that you do, I will spend my entire 2 minutes chastising you and reminding you how your mother taught you to speak to women. Let that sink in. I'll spend my whole 2 minutes. And when I'm done, I'll look your mom up on the internet, find out where she lives, call her up and tell her what you said about a woman, maybe send her the video so she can chastise you. Because you guys know better. And again, I don't want to do this whole male-female thing, but come on, man. Women have fought hard to get into these positions of authority. They've fought hard to be represented in our government. So when males belittle them in any way, shape, or form and don't treat them like their male colleagues, they do a disservice to all of them, regardless of the side of the fence they're on. So we don't do that either. So start speaking to each other with kindness. Anyway, guys, I'm done, I think. I don't know. I just want you to be kinder human beings to each other, and I want you to understand that all of you that are advocating on different sides of the fence are at least participating in the process. There's only 289 people on this page. There's only 19 people that go to the city hall meetings. Grand total, we get a couple grand, maybe 3,000-4,000 people voting per year in the county. No one's really participating in this process. So if you're even in this live feed right now, pat yourself in the back. Take a second. Stop right now. We're going to do this together. We're going to go. Good for you. Regardless of who you believe in, thank you for participating in the government action. You guys make it a wonderful night. You've done a great thing tonight, and we'll see you next time.